Yo, what's up guys? Hope you're all doing well. In this video, I'm going to give you guys the no BS guide to getting the best performance in Battlefield 2042. These are the settings for more competitively minded players. All we care about is frame rate, not pretty graphics and textures which will only hide enemies from you. There are also some quality of life settings, some of them are pretty eye-opening. Before we get right into this one, make sure you're following my Twitch. I'm going to be live a lot. We've also got a great community in the Discord, and my Twitter is also home to some base content and banter, so head over there if that interests you. Anyways, I won't waste time, let's start with the in-game settings. Starting out with the general settings, make sure you reduce camera shake amount to 50, which is the minimum value. Personally, I also disable hints and don't share usage data. Moving on to display settings, make sure you're playing in full screen at your highest refresh rate. Now for FOV, I'd recommend max for vehicles, and personally I like 84 FOV on infantry. Most top infantry players use anywhere from 74 to max FOV, with most of them being in the 80s. ADS FOV is an interesting one. It makes your ADS FOV tied to your overall soldier FOV when enabled. When disabled, you get much more zoom for all your sights. This does give the impression of a higher recoil though. Interestingly, it also carries over to vehicles, which never happened in any previous Battlefield game. To get any decent amount of zoom in vehicles, you must turn this setting off. Personally, I'm still playing with this setting. I use off for vehicles and I'm still undecided on infantry. Definitely experiment yourself as it is preference. As for graphics, adjust your brightness to preference and copy the rest of these settings. Full release does have DLSS, but from everyone's experiences, it actually decreases frame rates. Perhaps it's helpful on lower end systems because most of us were running some really high end gear. So definitely try it and see if it is worth using, and if it is, leave a comment on this video because I'm sure people will appreciate it. The rest of the settings should be copied. Moving on to the HUD general settings, turn off HUD motion and enable the kill log. I personally recommend a nearby kill log because on these massive maps, kills across the map just don't matter all that much. Now as for the crosshair settings, here is a very important one. Disable crosshair projection. This will make the crosshair static at screen center, which is actually where your bullets come from in this game. I have no idea why this setting is enabled by default, but definitely disable this. The rest of the settings are preference, but for me I'm using a white hit marker, yellow headshot, and black kill. For some reason it wouldn't let me select a fully black kill marker, so this will have to do for now. I'd also recommend turning off damage based shape, but try it for yourself. To me, disabling it gives a more aesthetically pleasing hit marker. I've also enabled the armor broken hit indicator as that's definitely helpful information. Now for the minimap settings, firstly, can we just express how lacking they are? In every previous game you could change the size of the minimap, but this is no longer possible. I would recommend maxing out the air vehicle view distance. The other two are more preference based depending on how you like to engage your targets. I might actually make the on foot radius smaller because I'm playing a lot more with SMGs the more I learn about this game. As for the audio settings, adjust your volumes. Personally I turn off music and slightly reduce the announcer volume. For me, the stereo gives the best sound, and I'm also using the Pro G 50mm settings. I don't even have these headphones, but the sound profile actually sounds much better than my old favorite 3D headphones. Controller settings I can't help you with, but go hit up Maxic for that, dude's goated on the sticks. For the mouse and keyboard settings though, I can help. I'd recommend turning on raw input in the global settings. Now for the on foot settings, this is what I'm running. I'm using a 1600 DPI on my Logitech G Pro X wireless. For the most part though, the rest of these are just preference settings. I would recommend at least trying out uniform soldier aiming though. Personally, I use a 0% coefficient. This is a rabbit hole to get into, but 0% enables something called focal length scaling. I'll link a post in the description that explains it, along with the games that use it. Short story, it's mathematically the best option. Other notable values include 133% used by CSGO, Battlefield, and COD by default, along with 100% which is used by Valorant. Now for the vehicle settings, I'm running a 6% sensitivity with a max field of view. The rest of these are mostly preference. I'm going to turn this aircraft control sensitivity to 100% in case it helps, but it requires more testing. Feel free to copy these down if you want. As for accessibility, I am red-green colorblind, so I'm experimenting with the settings for that. Just make sure to turn down motion blur to 0, disable HUD motion and disable crosshair projection, and minimize camera shake. I'm not sure why these settings are in so many different locations, but I play it safe and disable them everywhere. Now for key bindings, I run all default aside from piloting bindings. Here I bind space to pitch down, control to pitch up. For some reason they are inverted in this game, and then I unbind space from fire and bind my side mouse buttons to chase cam toggle and full map. I also bind scroll down to deploy countermeasures. Now that we're finished up in game, let's go over some stuff in Windows. Alright, so we're here on the desktop, and I'm going to go really quickly over all the settings within Windows that actually matter for 2042. So we're going to start by checking on our mouse settings. So just type in mouse settings on your taskbar. And then go to additional mouse options. And then in pointer options, disable this. Uncheck this box, enhance pointer precision. That is mouse acceleration. You do not want that. Once you're done with that, you can go to the NVIDIA control panel. Personally, I right click my desktop. Some people will have to search it like that. And then once you're in here, you can add Battlefield 2042 via this little menu here. To do that, you would just go add. And then you want to locate the game. It's not in this list, so we're going to have to find the exe. So we'll go browse. And then we'll locate the game. I think I have it here. Origin Games, Battlefield 2042. Open it up. And then you find the exe, which is this right here. Open that up. And as you can see, for me, it's going to use global settings because I have these set up properly. And personally, I do recommend global settings. I play FPS games in like a competitive nature, and I like having the best settings for every game. And this is pretty much, this is a global setting. These apply to every game you're going to play. So just copy them down. I will mention a few of them. So just slowly scrolling through. You want to copy all of these down. Now, G-Sync. This is something that you won't enable for games like Valorant or CS, where you're getting like 600 frames. But for a game like 2042, when you're not getting your refresh rate, I would actually recommend enabling it if you have it. So I'll link a guide down in the description to the guide to G-Sync. Not going to explain it myself, but it will explain exactly how to enable this perfectly. So again, have G-Sync on if you have a G-Sync monitor. The rest of this, just copy it down. This is a new setting. I did some search in Freethy's Discord. He's basically the best optimization YouTuber. And a few people were saying just set it to 100 gigs if you have the storage space. So I just do that. 100 gigs is fine. The rest of this is pretty straightforward, except for if you are using G-Sync, turn on V-Sync. If you are not using G-Sync, turn off V-Sync. It's pretty simple. Now, within here, you don't have to change anything. Resolution, just make sure you're using the correct resolution, your max resolution, and the max refresh rate. It's very important, guys. I meet so many people that buy these great monitors, and they run them at 60 Hertz. Make sure you're using the refresh rate that your monitor comes with. So down here, I also like using the video color settings. I don't know if they do anything, but I just set it to full output range. You can copy these down if you want. I like running 100% digital vibrance. I think it makes spotting a bit easier, so that's what I run there. Obviously, you don't change this. You don't change this. Not this either. Display scaling is always faster than GPU scaling, but most displays don't have them unless they're the Zowie ones, so I don't think I even have it, but I don't play stretch res, so none of this even matters. I just set display scaling and then go no scaling, because I don't play stretch. Now, enable G-Sync if you have it for 2042. I'd definitely recommend that. You don't change this. This is an option that I don't think does anything, but you can go to enable developer settings, and then it appears here in developer settings. You can check this box. I don't think it does anything, so not really necessary. And then for your video color settings, just select your monitor, go within the video settings, and enable full dynamic range. Now, with all that said, that's about done. There aren't any more tweaks that you actually have to do on Windows, aside from maybe some Origin ones. And I'll show you guys these. So what we're going to do here is go to Origin, Application Settings. What you want to do is, not here, but I believe it is, firstly here. I actually haven't done it yet because there's a fresh Windows install, but I like to disable all my notifications because there's nothing more annoying than hitting sick clips or having great recordings and just having notifications everywhere and sounds in the background. It's just not good. It's not helpful. So get rid of those. Now, Origin in-game. Again, this is a fresh install, so I'm doing this for the first time, but you want this off. Turn it off. Display FPS counter. Personally, I like having it because the FPS counter doesn't work properly in 2042, so this one actually works. With all that said, you can close Origin, you can boot up your game, and you should have the best experience possible. Now, there are further tweaks you can make, and for that, I'll send you guys over to a friend of mine, Freethy. He's the only guy I trust when it comes to optimization. Seriously, no one else comes close. Everything he does is backed up by a throughput latency tool, so if it doesn't make a measurable impact, he doesn't care about it. Now, with all that said, I hope I've been helpful, and make sure you're subbed for more 2042 content. We're closing in on 100k subscribers, which is an absolute dream of mine. Now, go use these settings and slay out on the battlefield. Peace, guys.